Hi friends, welcome to my Flosstube episode 2. My name is Rachel Samick, and this is a YouTube video almost exclusively about cross stitch. Today is Sunday, December 13th, and it's a rainy day in Pittsburgh, as you could probably see. Today's video might look a little different. I may not get an hour to shoot straight through, so if there are more cuts than usual, I probably had to check on a should-be sleeping baby or quiet a dog. So anyway, there's a lot going on. The boys all turn 2 tomorrow. I can't believe that it was 2 years ago that I was sitting in a hospital bed, tremendously pregnant, and just praying and praying and praying that everything would be okay. And now here we are 2 years later, getting ready to celebrate Christmas with our 3 guys. They still don't have much understanding about what's going on, but they really love the Christmas tree. It's going to be just us at home this year, at least for their birthday, for obvious reasons. But they'll be getting a play kitchen, which we still have to build tonight actually, and all kinds of pretend groceries and pots and pans, dishes and plates, and I know they're really gonna love it. So I wanted to thank everyone who subscribed and left comments on my first video. It was really wonderful and overwhelming. And I wanted to start off today with the giveaway that I promised last time. I had 2 charts, one of which is Halloween themed because it's been that long. This was Pumpkins and Poltergeists by Blue Ribbon Designs. And the other is Ida Nolt Revisited by Tracy at Hands to Work. Really pretty one. So I'm going to choose a winner, and I'm going to add some extras for sticking with me. If you are the winner, please email me at my email. It's in the description box with your address, and hopefully I'll be able to get that out to you before Christmas. And I will insert that here. "54 unique commenters." And Judy. "Weekends are no housework, just reading and stitching. That sounds amazing. I too am a history lover, especially Native American cultural history." Judy, I would love to send you a few charts. Please email me at my email, which I will have in the description box. I got some notes last time asking me to hold up my stitching longer, which is really great feedback, so I will do my best. To give you some background, I started my tapestry in 2013. I think I mentioned last time that I still am, very interested in the history of schoolgirl and Quaker samplers, especially since I'm a born and raised Pennsylvania girl. I don't know a ton about the Quaker religion in general, but I do know that they were a Protestant group that originated in England. I know they were pacifists. I know they were big believers in women's suffrage and the abolitionist movement. And when they crossed over to Massachusetts, the Puritans weren't really big fans. So they found a home in Pennsylvania under William Penn, who was a wealthy Quaker, and they were kind of powerful for a bit. But Quaker samplers were originally not a whole lot different from just the general needlework at the time. And then like around the early 1800s, the Quaker schoolgirl samplers started adopting the designs that we now kind of recognize as Quaker, like the medallions, the flowers, the wreaths. And I've always really loved the look of them. I like really dense needlework and thought that I'd like to create something that was like super personalized in the same vein. So I wasn't sure how big I wanted it to be or how long I wanted it to go on. So I started with a large cut. I think I got a whole half yard, but it's not quite that big. This is 45 count Graziano linen, and I'll actually stand. So it ended up being about 3 feet wide by 2 feet high. So you can kind of see what I've accomplished so far. I still have a good bit of room to work. I use mostly Gentle Arts and Classic Colorworks, whichever one it is now. So I started by designing just a really simple frame that I could use over and over as the base for each design. And the very first one right here, I remember it being very sunny and very cold with lots of snow around that time. So that's kind of what that represents. So I design new medallions either on graph paper or using Max Stitch, the app for my computer, depending on how complicated the idea is. As the years passed, you can see I started adding the years. And then I kind of keep each segment clustered around the year I added it or the year which the memory's from. But the only years that aren't represented where I didn't add anything are 2015 and 2019. 2019 was our first year of having triplet babies, so as you can imagine, not a whole lot of stitching in general, but I do want to go back at some point and fill in some of the memories I'm holding on to. I've made a few additions this year. I think last time I talked about my self-portrait right there, which I made in July. Since that time, I've added a little lower this Halloween design, and my boys were a king, a knight, and a dragon for Halloween, and I tried to transform their little wagon into a medieval carriage. We basically just pushed them around the neighborhood for a long walk, but it was a really beautiful night and a lot of fun. I added right here the Mayflower voyage in September for the 400th anniversary, and my newest one right here represents our yearly tradition of cutting down the Christmas tree, which we finally did last weekend. And it was something I never really did growing up. Chuck introduced me to it 4 years ago, so it's been a lot of fun doing that every year. So since I haven't showcased many of my earlier designs, I thought I'd pick 3 of my older editions to share with you, and I'm going to start with the Sacred Heart right here. This is actually a copy of a tattoo that I have on the lower right side of my back that I got in 2015 while visiting my little sister Molly, who lives in New York City. It was really a gift to myself after a kind of rough year, and if you know anything about this symbol, there are obviously religious connotations, but it's actually based on the artwork from the 1996 version of Romeo and Juliet, the one with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. I'll show a picture here if I can figure out how, but my favorite high school English teacher showed us this movie during my freshman year, and it was kind of the spark that led to me eventually majoring in English. And keeping on the Shakespeare theme, I added this one right here in 2017. And this one is Ophelia, who is the temporary love interest from Hamlet, who's eventually driven mad by his mixed signals and throws flowers at everyone. But aside from just being into books, my late maternal grandmother was actually named Hamlet by her Middle Eastern father, who was also very into Shakespeare, and thought it would be a great name for a baby girl. My grandmother didn't agree and went on to eventually change her name to Josephine. And I'll do one more in keeping with the theme of my maternal grandparents. Okay. Okay, these little row houses. For those at all familiar with Pittsburgh, I grew up very much in the city, and these little row houses represent an area called East Carson Street. We lived with my grandparents in nearby Mount Oliver, but my grandfather, who was my very best friend, spent a lot of time down on the south side, which is normally a very busy business district and neighborhood. And he always brought me with him. So we either walked or we took the bus. No one really drove or had a car. It's where we went to church. Sometimes we would just walk along the Monongahela River, which parallels it, and feed the ducks. There were little theaters where we would go to watch plays, just a ton of really good memories. But the street is loaded with so much beautiful Victorian architecture. You have a lot of like the carved doorways, the cornices, the mansard roofs, all those really cool ornamental details that have been around since like the 19th century. So also recently, I've been trying to make time to go back and fill in some space with like little motifs because I hate big blank areas. So some of the tinier designs, for example, I think I talked about these last time, but the flowers, these are right here. Those are from And Blossoms as the Rose, which is a book by Blackbird Designs, and it has a really beautiful Southern Quaker sampler. I think it's called Family Register, and the little bird added this year. He's by Tracy at Hands to Work from her My Dear sampler, which was a release this year at Market. And you got these little ducks, which are from Jenny Bean's Gentle Spring sampler. That's one of Kitten Stitchers. And I've also added like the little crowns, one over here. So it's really just like a mishmash of things that I love. And oh, I almost forgot. So these little guys, my little Lego heads. I discussed the whole process of this one as a saved story on my Instagram, but these little guys represent each of my boys. And I actually used their hair to cross stitch the hair in the design. Let's see how much closer I can get. There you go. I cut little locks in the morning and the morning that I stitched them. And if you saw my story on Instagram, you know that it was extremely frustrating. There is a precedent for using hair, horsehair and human hair in antique samplers and embroidery. If you think stitching with metallic thread is tough, hair is 10 times harder. But I'm glad that I did it, and I'm glad that it's over. Here's what the back looks like. So you can super tell that it's hair. A couple people mentioned ironing on a little bit of interfacing to preserve it, which is a great idea that I'll do eventually. I'm sometimes asked how long I'm going to keep going, and my plan is to go for as long as I cross stitch. No end in sight. So I started this when I was 27. I'm now 34. If it goes until I'm 64, I'll be thrilled. And oh, I also wanted to share, if you're interested in starting a similar project, or just like the shape of the medallion that I use, I've started uploading my designs. They're free for personal use at Tapestree, tapestree.net, under patterns. So aside from that, I can't really recall any new starts. I've made a teeny tiny bit of progress on Stitch Goddess. There she is, which is a stitch along I'm doing with McKenna of Stitching in Sequins in 1884 Stitchery. I'm sure she's like 95% finished with hers by now, but I also have a small amount on, this is Inmost Calm, which is the first design from the Most Noble Pursuit pattern book, which was a limited edition chart produced by a bunch of amazing designers in, I think 2006. And I think that's all. Of course, no finishes. If you're looking for finishes, I'm definitely not your girl. I probably won't be your girl for a while, but that does not keep me from acquiring stash. So I'm going to show you a few of my recent favorites. And the first is this is George Decorates for Martha by Plum Street Samplers. I received this from Keepsakes. Just a floss. Super pretty. I've been waiting for this one. I think it was originally a retreat release, so it's been on my radar for a while. And also from Keepsakes, one of their live sales actually that Steph puts on from Just Keep Stitching. This is Siren Cove by Plum Street Samplers. I have a real Plum Street problem. So I already earned Turkey Bay, which is here, which I love. And during her live sale, Steph pointed out that Siren Cove was the companion piece to Turkey Bay. And I was like, sorry, what? I had no idea it was a pair. And they're gonna look super cute together when I, this makes more sense. But yeah, they'll be super cute when I finish them in 25 years. Oh, this one. Oh, this one's good. I got this from 1884 Stitchery. It's called Sadie Woods Sampler by Barbara Anna Designs, and it's low-key creepy. Not even really low-key. Look at this weird creature. And look at this weird little doll on the ground. And you have like the old farmhouses. I actually need to start this one. I love the super prim designs. This one especially reminds me of Stacy Nash's Hollyberry Farm series, which I also haven't looked forward to stitching, but excited about this one. And I do have a giveaway for you again today. One of my first favorite designers recently joined Instagram. I think, I'm not even going to try to guess what it is, but I will link it below. Her name is Brenda Keys. She's from the UK and she's kind of prolific in samplers. She is prolific in samplers. And I actually pulled this out. This is the first cross-stitch book that I ever purchased for myself after over a decade of realizing that there was more out there than the kits you can buy at Michael's. But you can kind of see that it's been through some stuff. But it's not the giveaway. So I have for you a copy of her chart. This is called A Sampler Story. And it's really beautiful overall, but each little design is fun on its own. If you never purchased the Brenda Keys chart, they're really well done. You get all these little kind of matching extras. She includes a little card that you can put on the back of your frame once you've finished. She includes stitching directions, a bunch of different alphabets so you can personalize them. And she also includes kind of the origin of samplers and the symbolism of sampler motifs. Apparently, a duck is a symbol of marital fidelity. Olives mean peace and goodwill. The pelican means resurrection. Anyway, this is right up my alley. And I'd like to share it with you. So to enter, just use the word sampler below. Please don't use the words contest or giveaway. And I'm going to give myself a deadline this time. So I will say that the giveaway will be over in, let's see, a month. So January 13th, 2021. And I think that's all I have. Again, thank you for watching. You can find me on Instagram at Rachel Samek. It's just my first and last name without any spaces. My last name's Samek. I post there pretty frequently. And I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, a happy New Year's, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.